What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So it is officially 2024. I hope all of you guys had a happy new year and had a good 2023. If you didn't have the best 2023, don't be too down on yourself. You still have all of 2024 to make it up and to make it better. We also just hit 1,000 subs just in time for our new year sub goal. Thank all of you guys once again if you weren't here for the end of last videos. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't be here without you guys, and I'm very grateful for all of you. It's been a super fun experience being able to start YouTubing, and honestly to be able to grow behind the camera. I've always been a super shy kind of guy, and this camera has unlocked a lot in myself, and it just makes life that much better every day. So again, thank you guys, and here's to us steady improving and steady growing. So today in this video, we're going to show you guys, or at least tell you guys, what our plans are for this next year, at least of what we have for potential projects on hand. I've got too many cars at this point in time, so who knows what's exactly going to be done by the end of the year. We may have a couple less of them, but that's just to kind of help push our channel and keep the ball rolling. Because let's be honest, there's plenty of Z's that we can still own, find, fix, buy, and sell. So it's not going to hurt us to get rid of one. I'm sorry, you guys, if you were looking forward to any wrenching or working content today, it's not here. You just got me. Sorry. And as a lot of you guys know, this is my job. I don't go anywhere else any time of day. I'm out here in my shop every single day. Not only is it my job to flip, buy, and sell Z's, but I part out Z's if they're not deemed savable, etc., etc. So as you guys know, hit me up on Instagram or on Facebook. My name's Caden Parsons, Needak Snosrap on Instagram, which is how you pronounce our channel name if you guys didn't know. Which about that, we are actually kind of in the works to try to change it. I like the backwards name gang, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that's going to be very self-promotive for our channel. I don't think that's something that someone's going to be able to tell someone and they're just going to be able to type it into YouTube, you know. So we need to kind of work on that. I've been debating on just going to Caden Parsons, but if you guys have any recommendations, please drop them below. Now, what do we have in store for 2024? Well, first and foremost, we have our convertible here. This convertible is getting converted to twin turbo. It's going to be a high compression E85 setup running off an NA engine with twin turbos. Probably all 750cc injectors, bigger fuel pump, intercoolers, you know, just the easy stuff. But our goal is going to be to totally sand this down, repaint it. Still haven't decided on a color. I'm honestly kind of torn between yellow and just keeping it black. The reason I want it yellow is I'm not sure if there were any yellow convertibles produced. I've tried looking up registry numbers, can't find anything. Not only do you get to look forward to seeing this thing completely changed and transformed, we're in the process of redoing the whole underside, undercoat, and just get this thing completely sealed, all rust sorted, taken care of. And we're actually going to be taking the venture on this car of custom wrapping a full interior with a different material. May use that Alcantara that I see a lot of people use now, or we may just go suede because I like suede. I like tweed too, but it's kind of hard to compare to a 90s Japanese tweed from an aftermarket tweed in the 2020s. There's not a whole lot extra going on with this. It's just very tedious, takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of time at that, and honestly, since you guys know we're trying to take on YouTube full force, that we've got nothing but time. Now, what other projects do I have? Oh yeah, my barn. We do need to get the barn sorted out. I'm gonna get foam, like big 4x8 sheets, and we're gonna just foam the roof so it's not heavy with OSB. This is a super old barn. This was used probably over 100 years ago. It's got a metal roof on it that's separated. We got to fix that. I'd like to banner up the shop, and this spring, for those of you guys that don't know, all of this, everything that we use in here power wise, is coming in off an extension cord. I've got 250 feet of extension cord running from down here at my barn up to our pole outside the house. That's how we get power here. Seen a couple of you guys recommend that we use different power tools for the stripping process of this. Honestly, we're literally just limited to this right now. I can run an angle grinder out here, but I have to sacrifice all of my lights, and that's really kind of hard to do because I need to see while I'm doing my work. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I just can't win there. We would like to get the rest of the walls all OSB'd. I'd like to get that door seated or situated, maybe make it functional, and I'd like to try to seal this room off, at least from the outside, kind of like we did up there. To cut down on bats, chipmunks, and just air flow through the building. We want to seal it up so that way we can actually be functional here. Now that you guys are all caught up on the convertible and our future plans with that, let's go ahead and move on to a car I feel like doesn't get enough action on this channel at all. It's one of my favorite cars, probably just from my childhood, because I actually knew of them before Z's. But our 240 needs to get some love this year. Not to mention we need to cut this tree up that fell and almost hit both of these. But this past year, we have 5 lugs swapped the rear. We found a full interior for it. We've actually went through 2 or 3 motors for this thing, at least that I bought and tried to use, but I was always given the wrong information about what it was. And that was really what taught me a lot about 240s and at least KAs in a nutshell. We have a pretty rad engine swap for this thing. Honestly, it is the biggest money pit that I have ever encountered in my life, and that is why you guys have not seen much, if not all of it at all. This car I just got such a good deal on, like at the beginning of 2020 when COVID started. I paid $1,500 for it. Completely rust free, maybe a little bit of surface rust here and there. Literally nothing that is a big deal. But the engine swap that we've had, and we've been working on this thing, well, let's just say our goof up on ordering micrometers is what has kind of stopped us in this process. I ordered 2 micrometers last year, also a couple bore gauges. It gives me just enough to know that it works, but it doesn't give me that extra tenth to see if my bearings and everything are in spec to read. Here's a little teaser. It's been hogging my bench all this time. Here are some RB25 pistons. But here with these fresh RB25 pistons, we're actually building an RB25, if you couldn't guess. So yes, here's my RB25 head. We went ahead, broke it all down. I paid a pretty good penny for this thing to be fully rebuilt, which that should have been my first red flag. I was just wanting an RB. Previous owner bought it from someone who built it at school. Yeah, at engine building school. And whoever did it did not give a crap, because when I came to tear the engine down, each connecting rod bolt, like how you're supposed to check your torque, after you torque anything, you check it again, one rod bolt was significantly tighter than the other. On the dyno sheet, it said it was ran for 2,500 RPMs and produced 50 PSI of oil pressure. I have no idea how this thing did not grenade in that time. But as soon as I took that pan off and I started loosening them rod bolts so I could go around and just check their work, immediately back burner the whole thing, because I have no idea what this guy did to this motor. And the reason you never see it in the shop is actually because it's completely tucked away back there in the corner. You can probably see the trash bag. Well, yeah, that's my RB25 short block. Still has a crank. The crank #1 journal has some almost like pitting or something that whoever just assembled everything on top of it, like, send it. So I'm currently in the boat. Is my crank trash? Should I just put it all together, or should I just break it all down, rebuild it, build it, buy ones, cry ones type of thing? I'm not shooting for crazy power. I want maybe 450 horsepower, 500 at the most. It's a stock motor. I just want RB sounds. I want to do RB things, you know. I don't know. We have full Haltech Elite, all bells and whistles, wiring specialties harness. We've got a lot of goods for this thing. We just haven't been able to put it to use yet. And honestly, that is why the 240 is just sitting in the yard. It requires a lot of money. And since I'm self-employed, I don't really make a lot of money. I just do a lot of work. So hopefully that could turn around this year and we can finally start making some headway and really start flipping things, growing our business instead of buying something, selling something to fix something, etc., etc. So hopefully we can come up this year. Now on to the next one. Now this vehicle doesn't really get any glory, so to speak. But here's my work truck, my literal work truck, not my 2+2 work truck. This truck has over 300,000 miles. It's been driven hard, let's just say that. This was my dad's work truck when I used to do flooring with him for a while. When he moved out of his house and started building his pole barn, he sold it to me. So this thing, if you didn't know, GM V8s have a very annoying problem, and it's called AFM or DOD, displacement on demand or active fuel management. Basically, on these V8s, whenever you hit a certain RPM, or your truck will actually cut oil supply off to, I think, 4 lifters. So you have 4 lifters that essentially collapse, and then your 8-cylinder cuts down to 4 cylinders. Doesn't sound good at all. So it can save gas and get better fuel economy. The problem with that is, a lot of times when that fails, there's just a lifter that sits there and it rides on the cam and it just bounces off constantly, and it's literally shearing the cam. So this thing is ticked for probably 30,000 miles, I kid you not. Still been driven, has still been fine. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to blow up. Recently, I've seen a video online of what kind of happens here when you let this go too long, and your lifters will shear off your cam lobe, and pretty much that's just sending a ton of metal down into your oil, and your oil pump picks it up and redistributes it through your entire motor, which can be terrible. I've seen a lot of horror stories about it, and honestly I've seen videos of people tearing them down after they've let it go. And at this point, as much as I just want to do the AFM delete, put a cam in it to help us for towing reasons, I feel like it's probably better off we find another motor to throw in, and then potentially we can just rebuild this one for one of my cars. I would like to go LS on something. Not too keen on it, but my dad likes it, so why not? Not only do we need to get that thing fixed just so it can drive, we need to get it fixed so we can afford and purchase a trailer this year so we can start to drift. I'm going crazy. I feel like I sit out here and work for nothing all the time. I would like to reap the fruits of my labor eventually and be able to get to have some fun and enjoy myself. Can't really do much around where I'm at. It's all drag strip kind of stuff, and no one wants to slide. They just want to go in a straight line. Who's got the fastest car? Who's got the most horsepower? Who's got the most money? That's all I hear with these guys. We really need to get the ball rolling on this thing, and hopefully we can have that done by springtime. For my favorite car and my most prized possession that I have, my slick top. So from the last video, I told you guys I don't know how to weld. I've got my dad's welder, and I've got the pole up by the house, so we're going to try to start welding. This thing has been rear-ended, as you can tell. Absolutely annihilated. The hatch sticks out farther. The hatch doesn't latch, it just hangs out. Bumpers all bowed in. My frame rails are bent to crap. I bought this thing with a rebuilt title 10 years ago, and it done me good. I've drove it over 20,000 miles, but now it's time to give it some love like it's given me. Needs a couple little things on the front, but pretty much the goal is to tear out the full trunk, pull my quarters, straighten them out, and replace the whole trunk, and I've got to weld that in. So what I've set myself up for a little mini goal is, in the future, all of our videos that you see, I plan to have like a 30-second clip per video of me forcing myself to go up there and weld, so we can actually learn how to do this. If not, it's just so far away from the shop that I'm probably just going to keep forgetting about it and not get to it. And I really want to get this thing done, because my ultimate goal with this car in my lifetime is to hit 1,000,000 miles. It's a quarter of the way there, so we really got to get this thing fixed and back on the road ASAP if we want to do so. As far as engine swap wise, my dream in here is an RB25, but from what I just told you guys about the S13 issue with money, that's going to be a little bit. I guess that's a good time to start routing. That's pretty much all with the slick top. That thing's going to be here as long as my channel is, so don't fret about that. It'll always be here. Another kind of big thing, for me at least, that I know you guys see all the time on the channel, just because it's sitting in the background, is this is my 84 Buick Regal Limited. Looks like we got to go in the barn to get away from this freaking router. House been being built for 3 years. So in regards to our 84 Regal, that was actually my very first car. Wasn't really the first car that I drove per se, but that was my first car that I drove in high school. Honestly, the cool thing about that car, when I was born, I was brought home from the hospital in that car in the back seat. So for 20 plus years, whenever my dad had that car, he saved it, redid it just for me as the first car. For those of you that don't know, the Grand National is kind of the turbo Regal, and it was a really, really big deal back in the day. one of GM's faster production cars, and it's one of the most sought after cars nowadays. They all came in black. I don't want mine black, I want to keep it white, but I do want to put a little twist on it. I've had a 355 4-bolt main small block Chevy in that thing from a 76 Chevy van with a 350 turbo with a shift kit. So it's been a pretty fun car, runs flat 15s. It came as a V6, and you know, me being a Z32 guy, I want to take it back to a V6. So this is another reason we need to get on the welding train so we can get along to completing world's first 84 Buick Regal with a Z32 VG30 in its place. I would love to put the VG down there in the Buick, because the issue with VGs in the Z32 when you get big turbos is the turbo physically cannot fit in between both of the frame rails. The housing is just too large. So my thought process with this, why don't we get rid of the size restriction that we have, or size limit, put it in a car that has all the engine bay room, and let's make something sick. I did wreck this thing a couple years ago, so that's why it's a little beat up, so to speak. Here is the 350. That's my big goals with that. We'll get there eventually. I don't think anyone's going to steal my idea. Part of the thing that gave me the idea is there's a rendering that goes around on Facebook all the time of a Grand National that has an R35 VR38 in it. Everyone thinks it's real. It's not, but we're going to make one that's just like it, but real. I think the only car that we have not spoken of, because this is obviously parts, black cars parts for my slick top, so we can replace every panel that we need there. The only one that we have left out today so far is the drift car. The one that I think you guys enjoy the most. And in a way, I hate this car. The body of it is so crappy, it's just absolute hoopty. The previous owner absolutely destroyed this car. I mean, I guess I'm wrong for saying that because I don't know the condition before he bought it, but holy cow, like, it was the epitome of I've got a guy that can do it better, that just hack job everything. Like, for instance, this right here, you see it's rusted. Do you know how easy it is to pull this trim off? You don't even have to remove anything. This pulls out 1/4 inch because it's got a little slot that it sits in, and then you pry it up. They're just like, oh no, let's just grind it, weld it, and you know, let's fix it with the freaking trim still in place. That's just the tip of the iceberg. The engine in this thing was completely hydro-locked, washed out, no compression, literally zero. I could crank this thing over, spark plugs in, over and over and over, zero compression. Right now we've got very minimal problems with it, just a boost leak, and really the turn signals are my biggest complaints. The thing about this car is I feel like this, if I sold this, this is going to free up a lot for the channel. It's going to put me in a much better position to afford and do things. The reason why I want this for a slide car is things like this, where it's been bondoed, like just the fender, like just so many things on this thing have been shysted and crap. Not an OEM windshield. These had holes in them. I don't even think this is from this car. This is just a terrible ducktail job. I don't know. Literally don't understand. So many things about this car that honestly I've debated on selling it multiple times. I may post it up for sale here in the next month or so after we figure everything out, but please do not worry. Well, it's not the end of the drift car, I should say. I'm constantly looking for new cars. There's nothing special with this car. So far it's only TT swapped. I still haven't done my dual caliper kit, haven't done an angle kit, and those two things themselves are going to run me over $3,000. And I'm about to the point I just want to sell that, buy another shell, build another motor, swap it in, and go from there. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments so far about everything we've said. I really value what you guys have to say, and your input, it really influences me and what I choose to do for myself. Please, if you guys have any ideas ever at any point, drop them in the comments below. Hope you guys aren't too upset if we do sell it, but I think we need to be real with ourselves. We can have a much nicer, at least aesthetically pleasing drift car than that one. It's got good points to it. The best point is I paid $2,000 for it. At this point in time, the shell may be worth only $500 to me, because that's how much money I made back on what was in it, you know. It's hilarious. I thought that was my last car and I totally just put all disregard. I have a whole nother Z that is probably the biggest Z on this channel, and I just totally forgot about it. Still don't know how I did this, but our plans for this Z this year are quite extensive. Those plans are only going to keep getting crazier as time goes on because I'm always indecisive. I bought that car originally because I was going to drift it. It was neglected, not taken care of, and someone taking advantage of it. And it wasn't the previous owner. It was the previous owner's buddy that happened to help him out at the shop, but really just screwed him over and honestly ruined a friendship. So we took that project on. It was going to be our drift car, but I just fell in love with it over time. The interior is nice. I like the feel of the four-seater. It's perfect for carrying stuff around. It's perfect for traveling, dropping stuff off, buying, selling parts, you know. I have zero complaints there. So part of me in a way wants to keep it that way. Just keep it an NA go-getter that I can drive anywhere in the US and just drive it. But I have been sourcing and putting together a build for a little bit of time now. Down here in this crate, I don't know how well you guys can see right there. That is a GT 675 RS turbo. Those turbos are pretty much guaranteed up to 600 horse. I can make 700 if I want. I just need a couple more supporting mods. I actually think they may be good for 800 horsepower with valve train work. And while we're actually going to be going that route with stage 4 cams and potentially stronger valve springs, we're not going to get crazy with the rest of it. We're just going to do some pretty basic stuff to just run those stage 4 cams. So we got the GT 675 RS. We just ordered 1000cc injectors from Brian Metzler, so those should be in any time. We just got the tracking number today. So in a nutshell, the only thing that we haven't got is potentially a wiring harness, depending how we want to go about that. We haven't got our tune, which I do have a 1000cc chip tune right there, but it's for a single MAF. We actually have a Selin dual MAF translator as well to put on this thing to help it breathe significantly better. Our goal is 600 horsepower to the wheels on a stock NA block. I know it can be done. I want to be one to help push and test the limits of the VG in stock form, and not only that, but in built form eventually. We just got to get our pockets up there. Just got a couple more parts requests. Sorry guys, been a busy past couple of days here at New Year's. So we've pretty much got the whole build ready, but what I'm weighing my options here is if I sell my drift car, I can still slide this year. That's not a big deal. We can put all of this stuff on a motor, put it in a 4-seater, and let it eat. That's honestly what I've been thinking about doing at this point, just so I can quit kind of making myself feel guilty for selling our twin turbo drift car. But really, it's not that great of a car. We can definitely have a much better, much nicer car, and we can give that one to someone who's really going to enjoy it for what it is. When me, half the time I drive it, I kind of hate the thing, but at the other time, like, I love it because it's super fun to drive. And we also need to learn how to keep ourselves under control here in the parts department. Holy cow, I need more shelves. I just need more space. So I think that's really just going to conclude this video, you guys. I'm sorry we didn't have anything more exciting for you. I feel like this is probably good for some of you guys that are new, that kind of want to know what's going on, maybe get caught back up on all of our projects and our work. This year we're actually planning to grab the bull by the horns, and we're going to make 2024 our year. Yeah, we say that every year potentially, but I'm not kidding this time. I've had a fire burning in me the past month. I don't know if you guys have noticed, we have pumped out videos pretty steadily, and honestly my goal is to just continue at least 2 videos a week for the rest of the year. Hopefully we can bump that up to 3 at some point. We're starting to get the rhythm down of editing, having equipment to edit appropriately, connections, and just managing our time appropriately. And also at the same time, for any of you guys who ask for parts, I'm sorry if I don't get with you right away. I've got people messaging on 4 platforms, and sometimes it's a little overwhelming. I need to figure out a system to keep up with my messages a little bit better. So again, that's on me, and I totally apologize. But I try to do my best for you guys, and hopefully we can move up this year from where we were last year. And I really would like to thank you guys for watching all my videos, even the ones that suck. I mean, it means a lot. Honestly, happy 2024, you guys. Hope you have a great year. Let's make the most of it. Now, don't forget, drop a like, and subscribe below. And stay tuned for more content. We will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.